Friend, this is Rahul. Welcome to Reliable Immigration Guide. Today, I'm going to talk about the Yukon Nominee Program. But before starting this video, I really want to tell everybody this is the video for those who are already in Canada, those employees or students or those who are on work permit, because I got lots of emails and comments that those who are already in Canada, they wanted to know, can they go, and if somebody have a work permit but they are in different province, and if somebody is just completed their studies or they are going to complete their studies, what are the opportunities in Yukon rather than just sitting in some other provinces, because this is the fastest program I can say. So this is the video only for those who are already in Canada. This is not for the outside Canada people, so I just wanted to make it sure. Alright, so guys, we will just talk about how this program runs for the foreign national. Why I'm saying foreign national? Because those who are already on visitor visa, or those who are on a student permit, or those who are already in work permit and they still have a valid status in Canada. So before doing anything, so if you know that somebody is going to hire you in Yukon, but before that we need to see about the employer eligibility. So we will see about that. So employer should be permanent resident of Canada, and they have been in Yukon since last 1 year. They are running the business since last 1 year before applying the program. Okay, so before applying the program they already started their business a year before, and an industry association with an office in Yukon for at least 1 year before you apply to the program. A municipal or First Nation or territorial government for at least 1 year before you apply for the program. So these are the few criteria that you need to be really careful before you talk to the employer, or you can just talk to the employer about the hiring process, but you need to ask such questions before you go and start the work. And again, this should not be a non-profit organization for at least 3 years, with funding for at least 1 year following your application to the program. So if there are some institution, those who are on non-profit organization, you are still can work in with them, but at least a non-profit organization for at least 3 years. It should be older more than 3 years. Okay, have a current and valid required licenses under the applicable federal. So any businesses, they do have their licenses, and also these are not that important criteria you need to check about it. Like they cannot run the business without any license, and it should be a registered business in Yukon for at least 1 year on full-time basis. If you go and find an employer, those who only works like seasonal, you cannot work with them. Which are the businesses that you should not go and work under them for applying for Yukon Nominee Program? So breakfast less than 10 rooms, any restaurants or something, breakfast less than 10 rooms, no, you cannot work with them. Hobby farms, home-based businesses, like those who are working inside the home and doing a business or distribution operations. Taxi cab companies, you cannot work with them. Businesses owned and operated by active Yukon business nominee. Those who are already sponsoring somebody under the same program, you cannot go with them. Passive investments, business consultation and personal services, real estate agency, holdings company. These are the things that you need to be really careful. Now, foreign worker eligibility. So as a foreign worker, what are the things you need to know? So you should have a valid temporary work permit or student visa, and if in Canada at the time of the application. So you should be in Canada at the time of application for absolutely. Refugee, they cannot do that. Have a guaranteed job offer in Yukon that meets the economic and other criteria for the nomination. Provide a proof of qualifying work experience. You should have a work experience that you should say that whatever the employer is gonna hire me, I am having that experience. And there are different kinds programs. Critical impact worker program, where you need at least 6 months of full-time relevant work experience over the last 10 years. In between last 10 years, you should have 6 months of work experience. and before the date of Yukon Nominee Program application. Second category is skilled worker program. You need to have at least 12 months of full-time relevant work experience over the last 10 years and before applying for the Yukon Nominee Program. Then you have to give your language requirement test and intend to live in Yukon and apply the Government of Canada's permanent resident within 3 to 6 months of starting work. Very important thing is foreign workers who are currently in Canada must maintain a valid work permit throughout the YNP application and assessment process. If you are unable to provide the YNP with the valid work permit, your application will be declined. Important thing is, please be advised that if you are under implied status, you are not eligible to apply the nomination through the YNP. Skilled worker category. So skilled worker, like they need to have a NOC-O and NOC-A. So foreign national who are seeking employment in jobs that fall in skill O and skill A are required to have a minimum score in each category, like IELTS 6 bands and CELP they need to have a 7 bands. And for the skilled worker category, skill level B, they need to have IELTS 5 and CELP 5 in every category. And critical impact worker category, they need to have a CELP 4 and IELTS 4. Documentation part. So next procedure is really important. Documentation. What are the documents we need to have? Foreign national must provide a documenting showing they meet all YNP criteria. All supported documents must be submitted as notarized copies with the contact information for the notary included. So I would like to mention here, for the notary or any documentation for you have to do notarized, you don't have to pay anything anywhere. Most of the people, they pay for the notary of the documentation. What you can do, if you're living in any of the town or any of the city, just go to the city town of that office or city office, ask for the notary and commissioner of oath. They have a right to do this process for you in $0. You don't have to pay anything. So you don't have to find any legal person where you have to pay $50, $60 or whatever it is, right? So that's my tip. I did it in that way only. So documentation. So they need a proof of previous work experience with the letters showing that all the employments, whatever you did it, you need to have a notarized copy. Documentation must include the letters of reference from the supervisor or human resources officer identified by the name and the title. So what should the letter should contain? Or if you don't have that letter, and if you are looking for the letter, so these are the things that you need to have it. Company letterhead, you need to have it. Job title, start and end of the employment, job duties, contact information of the supervisor or the HR department. Additional documents, you need to have pay stubs, you need to have income tax records, other documents as requested by the assessing officer. Like if he wants to know more, then he's going to ask you a few more documents that you have to submit it to the officer. Proof of education. So if you did education in Canada and if you're on student status, you just have to submit your whatever the education you did it here. If you are in between something, or if you are on work permit and you do have a work experience which is related to the YNP program and they are looking for the workers, and then they need to have a proof of education. So if you are not studied in Canada but still whatever the education you did it in your back home, you have to submit the credential. And please provide the following information along with each of your educational credential, which is name of the organization, physical address, email address, website address, contact name and the contact phone number. These are the 6 things you need to have it in your credential certificate. If previously self-employed, certificates providing the establishment good standing of the business of the period in the questions are required. Passport, you need to have a valid passport. If you're applying with your spouse, passport, marriage certificate, if you're divorce certificate or something like that, it should be valid and notarized from the notary person or like a commissioner of oath. If you have a dependents, you need to have a birth certificate, passport, custody papers, and etc. etc. If you have any questions regarding that, just to more precise information, you can just comment in my comment box and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Then application forms. I will explain the whole application form in this video. The application form which have a section 1 application. Before you start, you always have to read that thing. Before filling out the application, read the Yukon Nominee Program application handbook. So that will helpful to fill out the whole form of application, and you don't have to worry about anything. If you have any questions, or everything is mentioned in that handbook, but still if you have any questions, let me know in my comment box. Your application must be in a capital letters always, and printed out on single-sided. If somebody is doing like one page done and then printing out on the second page, no, they don't allow you to do that. Then otherwise your application, they will send it back to you. And then handwritten application will not be accepted. You have to go on a computer and print it out. And all signatures must be in blue ink. That is really important thing. All the signatures, they should be in a blue ink. You cannot use the other inks. So first option is stream, skilled worker or critical impact worker. If you have any questions again guys, let me know in my comment box. Company information. This is the first applications section 1, where they need all the information about your employer. So the company information, registered business name, whatever the, like if you're working for the gas station, that's Shell gas station or Fast gas station or whatever it is, but that company number or the business name, that's a different thing. He knows the whole thing. So if your employer is gonna hire you and he's gonna support you, he will give all the documents and all the information. Then second, operating as, if applicable, date established, primary business in language, is it in English or French, website if they have it, type of business, industry and sector. Second is, was this business or part of the business acquired through the Yukon Business Nominee Program? Yes or no? If yes, then when? Second A, mailing address. So address you need to provide, province, postal code, country, phone, fax and email. This is all for the employer, okay? 2B, physical address. If there is a different mailing address, like if somebody is working there but they don't have a post office there, they do have a postal code and PO box number, so that's the different mailing address, okay? And the 2C, employer, owner, last name, first name, title. If it is a director, supervisor or whatever it is, like that's depend upon, he will give all the information. Phone number, fax, confidential email, like, and immigration status of the employee. He should be a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen. 2D, officer with the signing authority for this business. So he's going to sign it. He should have a last name, first name, title, phone, fax and confidential email. Now, important notice, employers hiring foreign nationals who are exempted from the labor market impact assessment process such as an Y&P will be required to submit the offer to employment and pay a compliance fee to the Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, that is IRCC. So they have to pay the fees for that. After you approved through the Y&P, all the employers must submit the offer of employment information and pay the employer compliances fee using the IRCC employer portal. So they have to pay the employer compliance fee through the IRCC employer portal. Then position information. Number 3, job title, NOC, is it under NOC O, A or B, whatever it is. Hours per week, is it 35 to 40 hours a week? Job description, how much is the wage offered per rate per hour? So you cannot mention that, oh, I'm getting 40,000 a year or 50,000 a year. No, they needed wages offered, rate per hour. So if it is $15 an hour, 16, 20, whatever it is. Median wage per hour as per ECDC. Salary per annum, okay, then you have to mention it here how much salary you are getting in per annum. Number, advertising information. The federal and the provincial territorial governments have various initiatives to promote hiring of underrepresented groups. So these initiatives are intended to help employers hire Canadian citizens, permanent residents and individuals from the underrepresented groups before applying for hire foreign workers. Now, employers must actively seek a qualified Canadians and permanent residents by containing organizations that may assist them in finding workers who are Canadian citizens, permanent residents and individuals from underrepresented group. Advertising the position for a minimum of 4 consecutive weeks before submitting an application to the Y&P. So before submitting the application to the Y&P for foreign national workers, that employer have to have his advertising advertisement at least 4 weeks before he's submitting the application. So now I have contacted the following agencies before preparing my application for the YNP. Now Employment Central for all Yukoners, and these are the all the whatever it is, yes, no, yeah. All advertisements must remain posted until the date YNP has issued a decision. So YNP will say yes or no. Till that date he should have his advertisement open. And then he have to do, I have advertised in National Job Bank and Kijiji, Monster, Work Police, and etc. I have submitted the proof. They have to submit the proof and everything. I have a valid LMI and I have submitted proof with my application. Do not submit the resumes with your application, but do keep them on file for at least 2 years in the event this documentation is requested by Service Canada officer. And that is it. Like, reason for not hiring each of them, applicant 1, 2 and 3. So if they have some of the applicant names, those who already applied for the same job, why as an employer you are not hiring them? So applicant name XYZ, you need to mention the name, and they will assess the application. So it's pretty transparent process here. It's not like, okay, you can just call somebody and he's on work permit and okay, I'm gonna hire you and I will give you the documentation. No, this should be going in a really transparent way. Then number 5, employer declaration. In that 5A, is the foreign national currently in Canada? Yeah, you need to say, employer need to say yes. Without that, he cannot hire anybody. 5B, authority to share information, employer name, employer signature and date. Then 5C, employer declaration. He knows, I declare that I am a Canadian, whatever. You need to be really declare the whole thing, all the brackets, and it should be agree and all. That's a lot of things you can just go through with the forms, and if you have any questions, let me know in my comment box. Number 6, foreign national information. Now the employee information, personal information, last name, first name, middle name, gender, date of birth, citizenship, country of birth, mother tongue, passport number, country of issue date, expiry date. 6B, mailing address for the employee. It should be in Yukon, absolutely. So address, city, province, postal code, country, phone, fax and email. Physical address, if the address is different from the actual address. Then immigration data, 60. If you are currently in Canada, indicate your status. So if you are on student visa, if you are on work permit, if you are on visitor visa, you need to specify. And expiry date and client ID. That's a unique client ID there, so you can find it out on work permit or student permit on the right side of the permit. Or if you have any questions, let me know in my comment box. Number 6, E, language proficiency. So language test taken in English or French, and which one you took, IELTS or CELPIP, or test of TEF for French and TCF. So what are the results? Listening, reading, writing and speaking. How much you are, like I already talked about it, the different skill have a different requirements. 6F, education information. So we have to mention the whole education information and fill that form. If you have any questions, let me know in my comment box. Employment history. So employment history, they have to mention the company name, company email, physical address and everything, contact number and everything. Then the 6H, family information. So you have to mention dependent 1, dependent 2, dependent 3, like whatever the information you have to mention that. Consent for sharing and use of information. So you have to print your name, signature and date. Number 7, foreign national declaration. So you have to read the whole thing, and you have to tick that whatever the things that applies to you. And then foreign national name and foreign national signature and date. Then number 2, section 2, guaranteed employment offer. So you have to mention the whole thing here, settlement assistance. So airfare mandatory. If the nominee is not already residing in Yukon, pay for the air travel cost of the nominee to come to Yukon from their place to permanent residence. So but not for the travel cost of family or dependents, only for the employee. That's settlement assistance. Health insurance mandatory. Employer must provide free to the nominee health insurance that provides similar coverage to what the Yukon resident receives under the Health Care Insurance Plan Act. And temporary point, position information, position title, job description, required skill as control industry. Job description, you have to mention required education, whatever the job, employer. Then fourth, recruitment summary. Employer must actively seek qualified Canadians and permanent residents by advertising for minimum of 4 consecutive weeks before submitting an application. It's pretty easy that employer have to fill it. And then fifth point will be signature. Signature will be on the other side is employer name and print and signature, and then foreign national worker, the employee, he have to mention he or she or whoever the foreign national name, print the name, signature and the date. Then section 3, settlement and retention plan. That's very important. So settlement, accommodation. Are you providing an accommodation or something like that? They are asking questions to the employer here. This is the whole form for the employer, because employer driven stream, and employer have to submit this application for the employee, why he is hiring and all the information regarding the employees and all. So employer is a really major part of this program. Then health and safety, that he will take care of it. And then retention plan. It is an important objective of YNP to have nominees stay in Yukon and in their jobs after they have become a permanent resident. So that's the more major thing. YNP, they wanted to know after getting a permanent residence, why he's going to stay here, your employee. So employer have to give an answer. How do you as an employer intend to assist with his objective? What type of employees benefit plan do you offer to the employees? What training opportunities are provided to the employer? These are all the questions that employer have to answer. Then signature again on the employer name and the foreign national, and employer signature and foreign national signature. Then check for the completeness. So this is the checklist type. So are you done with the document 1, document 2, document 3, document 4 and all everything, and that's it. So that is really easy for applying for the YNP. Guys, if you still have any questions, please let me know, and don't forget to share and subscribe my channel, Reliable Immigration Guide. Take care, have a great day.